Hello everyone, thanks for joining us. My name is Scott Olson. It's January 20th. It's time for our weekly QA demo session. We're going to get started in just a few moments. Before we do, a couple quick questions for y'all. I'd like to keep track of demographics of who's attending our webinars. We'd like to know if those of you who are attending are currently an active TradeIdeas subscriber or not. So just select from on the screen if you do currently have an active subscription or not. And I'll leave this open long enough for y'all to vote. Generally, the QA session, like some of our other educational sessions, are mostly aimed toward current subscribers, but we do like to show off the software and also answer questions for those of you who are not currently subscribers. And if you're not currently signed up, or if you currently don't have the AI odds maker, stick around toward later in the presentation, and we'll show you how we can make that affordable for you as a thank you for coming. Wow, a lot of you have voted, and looks like we have quite a few in the room today who do not currently have an active subscription. As I mentioned, stick around. I'll have a product code and a package combo that we only offer to our attendees. Here's a follow-up question for those of you who do have a subscription. It's, do you also have the OddsMaker AI license? Now, to access the artificial intelligence Holly and her higher functions requires owning the OddsMaker license, which is a backtesting tool. So it's really one and the same, and you can think of it as getting the AI and backtesting in one. And it's a single lifetime license fee, and as long as you have an active TradeIdeas subscription and the AI access license, you have our AI and backtesting tools. Great, it looks like most of you who are subscribers have voted now. And that's great. It looks like most of you that are subscribers that are with us today already have the AI and odds maker. If you don't, again, like I mentioned to the non-subscribers before, hang out for the whole session, and we will thank you by showing you how to make it very affordable. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to unmute our presenters, Dan Merkin, who is the founder of TradeIdeas, and Brad Williams, who is also a managing partner. And also assisting us in the chat. If you have any questions, direct them to the chat panel, to the questions panel. And assisting us today also is Steve Gomez and Barry Einerson. And Jamie Hodge. Wow, looks the gang's all here today. Hey guys. All right, Dan, Brad.
Scott, thank you very much. Everybody, we have a fantastic Q&A webinar today. A lot of exciting stuff. I just want to make sure that everyone is able to hear me and that the sound's coming through before we get going. Just a quick answer, yes, in the question and answer section. Okay, fantastic. Okay, guys, so this is our weekly Q&A session. The way it usually works is Brad and I are going to talk about what's going on in TradeIdeas, how to use it to make money in the market so that you can, again, how do you take advantage of this so that you can get the most out of it? And we're going to talk about some setups. Excuse me. Some setups that are presenting themselves, and again, everything is really focused about how to take advantage of what we're going to show you to make money in the market. So, of course, put your questions in the questions section. We have a lot of our staff from TradeIdeas answering questions, so they'll be able to do that. And Brad and I, again, we will be demoing the software, going over a lot of new features, and again, just hopefully really educating and taking it to another level today. So before we start, just to make sure everyone understands, TradeIdeas is not a registered investment advisor. Sorry about the cough.
So poor Dan, yeah, just getting over it.
Over to Brad, but for the most part, it's not as bad as it was before. How about that? So yeah, TradeIdeas is not a registered investment advisor, and everything that we're going to show you is for educational and informational purposes. So without further ado, let's jump into the Wednesday Q&A. So what is TradeIdeas? And again, there's a lot of people here who don't really know anything about it. who are brand new, TradeIdeas is your modern-day investment discovery engine. In other words, our software, our computers are sitting there combing through mountains and mountains of data, trying to come up with the most statistically viable options to invest, because there's huge opportunities in the market. Although most recently we've all known that the market's been a little bit challenging. So how do you guys, who again are trying to really do something to differentiate yourself, what can you do? So in this slide, we're kind of going to be talking about the fact that TradeIdeas is really focused on giving you the wheel. And the most important thing that you need to do is just realize that it takes just a slight adjustment for you to take advantage of the wheel instead of sitting there plowing your fields with a square wheel, which is not very effective. So, you know, I kind of want to make sure, again, that people understand that if you're being lured into the stock market with the promise of Ferraris and boats and planes, that, you know, I have to say that it's just a little silly. There's nothing that works like that. Sure, there could be a lucky guy that or girl that comes into a market accidentally, is there at the right place at the right time, but for the most part, there's nothing that you see that's scalable, that a human can really produce. That's really one of the things that Brad and I are going to be talking about today, is that TradeIdeas is really a completely game-changing technology. You know, humans are doing stuff with their eyes. We're really not good at that kind of visual pattern identification. And so because of that, again, there could be a lot of perils in front of you if you take that sports car route and end up being parked in a terrible place like the water. So we're going to show you how to avoid these obstacles. And then ultimately, you know, our thing here is to tell you what is the really big differentiator. That we have a challenge as a company in TradeIdeas. And Brad, I kind of talked to you about that in the video. You know, we have to compete with the Schwabs and even our partners sometimes, the E-Trades, the Scottrades, because everybody kind of says the same stuff. You know, we've got this amazing research. Our stuff is real time, but that's not really the case. And you know,
well, it's really tough to differentiate it at a marketing level, but when you peel away the onion, you know, that's where you really have to see where the difference lies.
Well, that's what we're going to showcase today. So again, my whole thing is, guys, you're here. You know, you are at this place where we're about to show you something that nobody else is doing, that you really haven't seen before, and we're going to show you how to take advantage of it. So I'm going to minimize the presentation, and then Scott will come back and talk to you about the offers we have for the webinar. But actually, there's one more slide. My bad. There it is. Hold on. So no magic tricks. But so again, in order to make money in the stock market, you can't, like, again, have this magical penny pumping formula or this magical one moving average crosses another, because the market's very dynamic and it's always changing. So while there are no magic tricks, you can count cards. That's really the essence of what we wanted to say at the end of this presentation, is while there's no magic tricks, cards can be counted. And when they're counted, they give you an advantage. And that's what we are here to do at TradeIdeas on an investing level. We're counting the cards for you so that you can take advantage over the casino. So for those of you, again, who are not familiar with the technology, this is a TradeIdeas screen, and it is on our channel called Holly, which is our artificial intelligence channel. I'm actually going to start somewhere else today. I'm going to start on the pre-market because, again, I just kind of want to show you how do people interface with the tech. So TradeIdeas is, again, this is kind of like your Netflix, but for stocks. You start in the pre-market, and you can see everything that's starting to move. And all you have to do is just click on a symbol, and instantly you are able to see the shorter term price movements and where it is longer term. So you can see the interesting information, and right away you'll have an idea of where things are setting up in terms of opportunity. So just easily go back and forth. And this is, again, the way that people kind of get ready for the market. This is TradeIdeas is your Netflix. And again, and we've got AI in here to figure out what to do, but before the market starts, you will at least know what's going on. What's gapping up big and what's gapping down big. As soon as the market starts, the next place that TradeIdeas is, again, what I suggest is the routine, and it's super simple, is just go on the channel that says social media. So social media really showcases a lot of cool things about TradeIdeas that right away should kind of give you pauses to say, like, well, wow, are you looking at this information and otherwise? So one of the things that we do is we take data from the stock market and we make what's called metadata out of it. In other words, when you see things like here, position in range. So we're looking at where a stock is and we're creating these data points that we can then reference. Like, for example, these stocks are all kind of trading towards their lower end of the trading range over the last 20 days, whereas IBIO is a little bit higher, and I can instantly see that with my eyes. So there's a lot of information that TradeIdeas is kind of giving to you, even without you having to do anything. One of the biggest things we wanted to do is say that in terms of you discovering, again, investments, and this being your investment discovery engine, you know, a lot of things have to be visual, and you want to have access very quickly to what might be moving. So from this perspective, again, there's a lot of things that are giving you already indication as to what to expect. Like these plays could be turnarounds, whereas this one would be, you know, a little bit more, you know, again, if I zoom out, it's a little bit more of a, you know, of a flat line in this range. So again, also remember charting. So TradeIdeas now has charting. So we really are not just simply an idea generation platform, but it's your complete platform for everything you need other than the brokerage element to place your trades. So you can do everything with us. You're seeing your streaming analytics. I'm going to show you some ways that you can really effectively interact and never ever miss a single trade. So again, this is the social media channel, and what makes this different is that, as I was talking about the metadata, not only are we watching the market, but we're watching social activity. So here, I'm sorting this by stocks that are just being mentioned an unusual amount on social media. And here you have, you know, the stocks, synthetic biologics, Twitter, which had huge moves today, really, again, was being discussed quite a bit, and it was really trying to kind of put in a bottom, possibly. We'll see if that happens or not, but certainly the indication that it was trying. And here you can see right away that, wow, this thing is being talked about on social media 4 times more than normal, which for Twitter is kind of a lot, and it's, you know, right off of lows. I mean, it's right there. So this is where, when people speculate, we can really quickly get you to that zone where you can figure out, is this or is this not a viable speculation? Like, again, if you look at Twitter, you can see that today it really tried to put in this bottom, like accentuated bottom, and the key will be what happens tomorrow, obviously. But our software keeps you aware of all of that because it's tracking all these different metrics at the same time. You have windows which are showing you lists, so these ones with a T are called our top list windows, and they're very powerful because, again, they visually stream the information and you can easily see what's going on. So most discussed and trending down, easy, everything's red. You know, you can kind of see what's going on and why. So obviously some very bad things are happening, AMD. And here, just in terms of overall unusual mentions, you can just see when some news breaks, I mean, sometimes the social activity is just beyond unusual, and that's what's happening in some of these names. That's how you know that you're focusing your attention not just on what everybody else is doing, but really on what we call high alpha potential stocks, where you see, again, these big bars where interesting things could be happening and you need to be on the lookout. So again, this is the social media channel. The next one that I constantly look at is the surge channel. And in terms of, watching information, there's a lot of things here, and some things repeat. So this channel really comes in and shows you as soon as something starts to take place, and you can constantly watch what's happening and really key in when interesting things start to happen. So look at this is Eros, okay, and this is the kind of day that if it maintains, it's really one of those sound days that can fire. So let me show you how not to miss this, okay? So, and I right click like right over here. Like let's say Eros is going to get long. So I'm going to say expires on 28th. I want to, give it a week and save. So now I have an alert for this stock, and if something should happen, I know for a fact that I will not miss it because I'm going to have these. Bring it back up. Where did it go?
And I do want to point out that this is a feature that is coming, we hope this week, into the software. So
important to talk about because it's so easy to use, and
totally.
This is something all the time. Like whenever I see something, I got to make sure that I don't miss it. And it can look like, again, look at this. See, like it really lets you see the forest through the trees. Here's another example. Just above the high, right click, and add your notes. And so this is, so what we're talking about here is kind of two ways that the trade ideas is very important for you. Number one, all this up for you, but we're also giving you a way to not have to go anywhere. You're not going to be missing anything. We're on the search channel. You can surf. Here's the China channel. You can see, again, where is there the most potential? After what's happening, is the market continuing to sell off, or is there something that's really, trading much higher? So everything is here. And most of what you can do is make sure you don't really have to spend a lot of time tinkering. You can really just open up, get access to the most important information. If you like bullish information, we literally break it up into today, since January 1st. Again, not everybody does January 1st. So there's almost every way possible that you can see the day. Whether you're bullish, whether you're bearish, you can break it up into any way you want and then interact with it. But now, Brad, let's really talk about, the ultimate question, okay, which is what you guys are here for. This is where we, blow your mind. So people have asked us for, Trade Ideas has been around since 2003 is when we started. And our initial idea was simply create technology that empowers traders to do what they do successfully. Have them find things that they would otherwise have trouble looking. And we did it. But then ultimately, as we were exposed to more and more people, the same question kept coming up. Guys, what do I do with this information? This thing looks like a breakout, or this thing looks like a breakout down. How do I use it? So we thought long and hard about it, and for the longest time, we gave you, the end user, the ability to test anything in TradeIdeas. So I could basically create an alert window. I can I can search for something like an inflection point, 200-day moving average. I can look at this alert, say, okay, show me when a stock is crossing the 200-day moving average between, let's say, $10 and $50, and let's say its 5-day average is 1 million shares a day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now I'm going to call this 200-day SMA. So this window right here, the 200-day SMA window, will alert me any single time a stock crosses its 200-day SMA. But the ultimate question is, well, what do we do with that? Is that a good buy, sell, or swing? Now, I hate even using the term swing because if anyone's been in our webinars, we talk about the fact that all of these ways that people categorize themselves, like I'm a day trader, I'm a swing trader, I'm a fundamentalist. It's the silliest thing. All it does is handicap you. You ought to be simply chasing alpha, going after where alpha is hidden and taking as much of it as possible. You do that with proper risk constraint. So the question is, how do we use this information? So here, our software can go back and say, let me back test this. So every time I see an alert for Xilinx or for IM, the software will think that's an entry. And here, I can say 15 minutes after the open and don't initiate anything the last hour. You can check different hypotheses. How about 60 minutes? I'm going to hit simulate buy. So the software is going back and it's calculating all the different times all these stocks have crossed the 200-day moving average and is showing you what happens 60 minutes later. And you can instantly see that it's not a good idea. Okay? So I'm not seeing anything that's tradable. But the best part is, okay, well, you can test different things. What about if I hold it to the end of the day, like 15 minutes before the close? Does that change anything? So you can start kind of putting hypotheses to the test and seeing what makes sense. And in this particular case, it doesn't really look like, nothing too exciting. What about the swing? Again, notice that I can simply, with like one click of a mouse, I can say, okay, how about if I hold it for 5 days? And so again, once again, the software is testing, is the 200-day moving average a good inflection point in the current market environment? I guess you guys all pretty much know that the answer is no. But you learned something, okay? You did not know that. Today you've ran through 300 swing trades just now, 500 all-day trades, and another 500 hourly trades. That's a lot of analysis that you did instantly. We're the only software that lets you test things like that. But this is really now, again, we were looking to go and take it to another level. So we decided that the way to do that is not even to let people specifically test things, but have our software itself come up with the strategies that have the best odds of success. And this is Holly, our artificial intelligence engine. So what we do here, I mean, this is the crux of why you are here. This is everything, guys. The thing that I'm going to be talking about, and especially the way it performed today in one of the harder market environments and over the last several days, this is the future of investing, how people will interact with the stock market. So what are we doing here? Okay, the software comes in and it has 35 strategies that are kind of like what I showed you with that testing environment, where it has some ideas of what it wants to do. And it starts running what's called the Monte Carlo simulation, where overnight it goes over millions of possible combinations of all the different trade ideas data points to come up with what is something that it thinks is going to translate into making money. So let's talk about what that looked like today and how you could have benefited. So out of 35 strategies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strategies made what we call the quantitative combine. So again, 35 strategies compete. They're competing right now in our server room, taking today's information, competing to see what's going to work the best tomorrow. So these are the historical percentages. In other words, when we tested everything, our artificial intelligence said, these are the odds that I have for these strategies. And this is actually what it looked like in real life today. So there were power hour long 2, $1.78, 5-day bounce, 19 trades, total of $8.95, only 52% success. And then 6 shorts, only 50% successful, but also 28 cents. And then another short that had 5 trades and lost $1.15. So our AI is constantly showing you, and 2 things. It's showing you, excuse me, it's showing you where the direction is for the highest odds. So that's like the card counting. And it's letting you watch it so that you can manage the trades the same way. So Brad, one of the things that I really love today, and maybe you can talk a little bit after I show this, a little bit about our new rules that we added for taking profits and stop losses. But let's go over here real quick. So the best thing that the software does, which again, no matter what we think as far as like whether the software is right or wrong, it gets out when it's when the stop is hit. And here it's doing it. A long exit, 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 tons of exits, and they're not all perfect. Look at that. Like, here it got into entry price of 31.39 and exited at 30.60, and then it finished up almost 4 points higher. But still,
that one right there, Dan, that one says a lot, because what it really talks about is the fact that we're really managing risk with all of this. And even though the longer term objective was correct, this was a long trade, to be able to enter into these positions, it's imperative that we're managing risk, just like you would be in your trading account. And this is where it would be a great opportunity if you had that limit alert working. You could have set that above there and been alerted when it broke back up. But it's really all about managing risk. And when you look at and you resort that on the profit to the other side, you're going to notice that the profits far outweigh the losses, and that's really important. It's really important to have like a 2-to-1 win-loss ratio from a perspective of what your average winner is to what your average loser is. So that's real important to note that.
I was going to to me, I keep talking about how, when we were, just learning how to invest, and I know that maybe it sounds cliche a little bit, but there's really no technology that I've ever seen that gives you this kind of ability to go with the trend. Because again, there's nothing else that's counting the data like we do. So we have the best card counting stock engine that's going through and looking at all these patterns, and people that use our AI, what they're doing, and again, I interact with them all throughout the day. And what I see is people are talking about how they're constantly working on the P&L. You know, they can see some of the opportunities to not only copy everything that the AI does, but also avoid some of the things that the AI is in, because again, you know, AI is just doing literally exactly what it's doing. But you can't interact with it, and ultimately, of course, you can also automate it, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But so let's talk about today, Brad. I mean, one of the things that I really wanted to highlight is, you know, everything started. The market was very tricky, you know, and there's like a lot of back and forth here. You're talking about 50 cents up and down. Then there was like a little lull where I think it was down about a point. Then it went up, and again, it was just all over the place. But it really stuck to its statistics and was able to, as a result, capture this huge move. I mean, so Brad, why don't we, so that I'm not copying on everyone, can you explain to everyone what 9.8 means?
You bet. Well, before I do that, it really does illustrate the volatility of what the market was going through today. And so that P&L chart was really just a reflection of that. So essentially what we're doing here is we're simulating trading a single share. So the accumulation of all the stock that we traded today went up a total of $9.86. So if you were trading 1,000 shares, what would that be? $9,860. But it's really just all about giving you the perception of whether this market is going up or down, whether these strategies are working or not. Dan, go ahead and click on that total dollar, and we're also representing this in basis points as well, which gives you more of a percentage value of the accumulation of these stocks. So we're giving it to you both on a dollar value as well as a basis points.
Yeah, one of the, so Brad, you know, I wanted to, yesterday there was a strategy that kind of went rogue on the AI. It was called ETF Master, and it really unfortunately gave us a very outlier day because Brad and I had simply forgotten to remove all the inverse ETFs. So that will never happen again. But at the same time, there's actually a really positive thing that was taking place. So Brad, did we finally add the stop loss and profit taking?
We did, and that went into effect today. So now we have the advanced stops in some of the strategies. I'm going to complete the rest of the Combine Bank later this evening, but now these strategies are going to be utilizing some more advanced exits like our smart stop value. And today we also implemented some profit targets on some strategies. So the 5-day bounce strategy had a $2 profit target, so at that point we were taking the profit. Another great educational move for people that are learning to trade in the marketplace.
So yeah, the taking profits and the better stops is our own constant task of always improving the AI. You know, as you can imagine, one of the things that's the most painful is watching when you if you're up a bunch and then all of a sudden you turn negative. So we've really been working on improving the AI profits and maintaining the stops. So, Brad, why don't we let Scott come back, give everybody a quick overview of what we do, and then we'll jump into more of the questions, more of the AI, and just I think when we come back, I really want to talk about how the day how to trade around the P&L and what you're seeing.
Sounds good.
All right, Scott, are you ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. So I guess you can park it on slide 7 there. The shows what our pricing rates are. TradeIdeas, we're a software as a service company. So our core models are subscription based, which is the $99 per month or the $888 per year. Obviously, that $888 saves you quite a bit annually. That's why we offer it that way. But both of the $99 a month and $888 a year includes all of your real-time data. It includes the charting that we added this summer, and very importantly, a free hour of one-on-one training. So as soon as you get into a TradeIdeas subscription, the best thing to do is go straight to the support page, click on training, and submit your request, and we will schedule that for you. You also get to test drive the backtesting tool that you saw Dan use, the odds maker. To access the AI channel and all the higher functions of Holy Grail or AI, and to be able to backtest the entire market yourself, it requires the AI channel license, the AI strategy license. It's a one-time $1,100 cost, and then you have it for life. So whenever you have an active TradeIdeas subscription, you have full access to all of our high-level technology, our AI, our backtesting tools. It lets you optimize your strategies without programming. For example, TradeStation, you need to do some programming, and you can only test a stock or a certain basket of stocks. We can test the entire universe of stocks against events, against what would have happened had you been looking at stocks making those certain types of moves in your strategy. It's a really outstanding solution, and the AI is groundbreaking. There's really nothing else like it out there in the industry at all, and it would frankly be pretty damn difficult for any other company to pull this off because of our statistical analysis is somewhat unique in the industry. I'll come back on a little bit later and show you how to get signed up and save some money. Meanwhile, Dan and Brad will show you some more of the AI and answer your questions.
Thank you, Scott. Much appreciated. Okay, so Brad, we kind of, we talked about the routine. We talked about the AI that basically, again, when you start in the morning, the AI is flat. So that's one of the real things. Remember, we're talking about technology here that's going to beat the S&P, but it can't gap down and it can't gap up. So every morning you're coming in flat. So we're starting from scratch and always having to trade our way better. And as the trades take place, you're going to see them. I'm just kind of going to go all the way down. So you can sort of see how the day unfolded. So the first one was a long trade in RGLD. And let's see. So that was just a small stop. Then there was a short in GBX. Again, just a small loser. A short at SCMP ended up being a decent winner for the time. It bounced hard too. So you can kind of see exactly what it was doing, and then it really started to kind of hit home and ran away with it at the very, very end. So how do people interact with it? This is an important question, Brad. I mean, I would say that the best example is as soon as you start seeing stuff in here, you're going to see positions here. So you're going to be able to click on it, and you're going to be able to see kind of like what the AI was thinking. If you're seeing like a trade called the 5-day bounce, well, then you realize that, let's see, the 5-day bounce has a 60% chance success rate, and that's why the software is getting into it. So that's kind of how people follow it. But what's really kind of cool is that, so the AI will start, it'll get into something, and you can sort everything by P&L. So let's say, for example, you're kind of watching it, and these are the opens, let's pretend. So you can kind of look in here, and you can see like, oh, I'm down a lot, on this open position. Again, I'm totally being hypothetical. But you can say, hey, maybe this is where, I've sat quite a bit of a loser for the AI, but I'm not in it yet. Maybe I can take advantage of the fact that it'll come back to this trade. Because again, it's still in it. It didn't hit the stop, at least at that point. And same thing for this one. Here's another long that really ended up, we did hit the stop, but you can see how much it ran. And one of the things you can do that is really the key to the latest innovation that we did with the stops, and again, this is going to be in this new version that we're going to be giving to you guys this week. So here, we got in and we got out. You can instantly set an alert for your stock back at the entry price. Okay? So like if you went to, like right here, once you exit it, you can basically say enter again after stop was hit. So this is what's called trading around. This is what's called trading around the P&L. The P&L is one of the most important things for anybody. You know, this, and I think to me, one of the best examples was the Solar City trade. Okay, so notice you get in 31.39. You said the exit again. Enter after stop loss.
You know, it's interesting, Dan. I remember when that signal triggered, and it triggered, you know, right within about 5 other signals for that same strategy. And it was a point where I was saying to myself, okay, the system here is saying that, you know, long is a good opportunity with some nice managed stops. And it, you know, it really looks at that risk reward. And if you look at some of the symbols that it got into, these are symbols that have been really beaten up with a tremendous opportunity for movement.
Right. Brad, I'm going to answer a quick question from Manny Carrasco. So Manny, how do you create a layout? You know, was the question that was asked, and we're kind of on the second part of the presentation anyways. So Manny, your layouts come pre-designed. So when you open up TradeIdeas, Brad, what is it, populated social media?
Yeah, it starts off with the social media channel.
Yeah. So this channel bar is really your layout gateway. You can take any of these channels and immediately start surfing. Here's your defense stocks. Here's your options. And again, the TradeIdeas is not for day traders or swing traders. It's for any active, engaged investors. Whether you get in during the day and get out during the day, or whether you get in one day and get out another day a year later. To see supply and demand and efficiency, there's nothing better than what we are doing with our technology. So again, the channel bar just simply lets you take advantage of all the internal skills inside of TradeIdeas so that you don't have to set anything up. It's already all configured. So the second most important part of really taking advantage of TradeIdeas is this live trading room. Okay? So you click on that link, and this is our community. It's free. And during the day, what you have is TradeIdeas customers sharing ideas, sharing strategies, discussing how they're trading the AI, and it's a constant community environment that's taking you from inception through your whole investment life. So I think, again, in terms of being able to really get on quickly, it's a very quick ramp up. So here, again, you've got the channel, you've got any of the channels that are already pre-configured, the chat room or the trading room rather, you've got your social media. Every screen can be customized by yourself and saved to your cloud. So we have a, Brad, do you know what I'm doing here?
Why don't you close the channel bar and just reopen a new channel bar? There you go. Down a little further.
I'm here. There you go. Sorry about that, guys. So every single window that you're seeing can be customized. So here, for example, I'm in this window, okay, and it's custom to social media, but I can go to configure and I can go to window-specific filters and I can say no more than, let's say, $20. I can hit enter. I can say here less than 20, and now everything has changed. And if I want to, I can then save this to the cloud. So here I've got my window, most discussed and trending up after 20, so I just saved it. And now if I go to my cloud, it's right there. So again, we have an amazing way for you to be able to really access all this information. You never are at a loss. But the most important part is don't look too hard for where you need to look. There's going to be nothing that you could do by yourself that we can't do better for you with this technology that's going, again, in both directions, whether it's long or short, this AI is going to give you the best read on what to do with the markets. And again, today is probably the best way that we can showcase that. There's no better advertisement than performance. So, Brad, what else do we have?
Yeah, so earlier Mike alluded to the Trade Smart feature, and it's really, I think, what we're talking about there is including the smart stops in the strategy exits.
That's right.
And it's essentially just a brief explanation of what the is a value that takes a look at the stock's range for the day in addition to its volatility and in addition to its relative volume, and it takes an algorithm of that and comes up with a value that would be an acceptable stop value for a strategy considering the volatility of that stock for the day. So just today was the first day that we implemented that piece of functionality. So that's what he's talking about, Richard.
So Sam, Holly is constantly updating during the day. So again, as trades possibly become available, you will see them in here. In here you will see them closed in here, and you will see what the strategies are doing at the top. So she's constantly trading throughout the day. The idea is that this is AI that you can follow. It was designed not to be like a black box that is trying to trade for 5 cents here and whatever. No, this is AI that's supposed to be a better trader than a human. We're trying to catch points like what we did here. $2, $2, $2, $2, $2. That's what we're shooting for.
And interestingly, Dan, while the suggestion from Holly was to exit those positions at $2, that doesn't mean you couldn't have done anything that you wanted. You could have kept the position. You could have done some hybrid by keeping some of it and closing some of it out, really providing you a suggestion based upon the odds that she was using to run and to decide which strategies to use.
Yeah, Erwin has a question about Ichimoku. So Erwin, one of the things that really is a complete differentiator of TradeIdeas is we've done a scientific analysis on almost every single indicator that exists in other platforms. And here's what we've found is that they just don't work. And that includes candlesticks by themselves or moving averages, simple exponential combination. There isn't that's why we said there's no magic bullet. There's no magic indicator that is at all any more helpful than a random line you draw on a chart. But when you have access to large number crunching, when we can take all of this information and comb through millions of possibilities, we can get rid of the noise and deduce a kind of setup that leads to this kind of result, where again you can get 9.86 points out of a market where it only looked like it was going to go at the very, very, very end, and you have to have been in it to be in it. So that's the idea, is that how, Brad, remember you and I talked about this as a metaphor. When surgeons want to learn to be a good surgeon, you study by watching an expert, and even expert surgeons lose patients. It happens to everybody, and this is kind of the same example. Our AI is this expert investor. It's constantly attempting to get as much out of the market as possible using statistical analysis and quantitative algorithmic AI and data. It's competing with itself and crunching all the numbers. So it's like every single day it starts over and saying, you know what, not enough, I'm going to relearn everything and I'm going to adjust. So that's the real advantage to what we're doing.
One of the things I think also by just kind of focusing in on that P&L graph right there, it shows you the inherent difficulty, the volatility that exists in the marketplace. It's not just one of these markets where you buy something and you're never negative or it just goes up and you don't have to look back. It's a volatile market, and it's inherent in that P&L chart right there.
Yeah, well, here's something interesting. Rick was talking about, well, how could I would only want 1 or 2 trades. Well, Rick, the problem is that there's you can only want 1 or 2, but it is what it is. The market gives you the statistics that they give you. You can't just selectively say, I want 2. So the idea is that you watch the AI and you look at the strategies, and that's why there's different. Notice how our strategies kind of like are there. The reason that there's more than, let's say, you might think is because different people trade differently. Some people want to.
Our trading room is a great indication of that. You should spend some time in the trading room because all those guys trade a little bit differently.
That's right.
It's a great experience.
The thing is that if you want to make money in the stock market, and I'm assuming everybody here wants to do that, the stock market is the modern day real venture capital. You know, you can get in and you can get out. That's the advantage. But you still have to do some action. So Doug had a question. He said, okay, the AI had over 100 trades one day. Well, Doug, one of the reasons, again, is because the market has been insanely volatile. You know, we've had some of the more unusual behavior that we've ever had, especially as it relates to January. So the AI is adjusting itself, risk on and risk off, and again, because this is pre-release software, we're constantly working to improve it. That's why today, excuse me, we are already acted upon making it at least a lot more selective, and we're constantly working on that. The problem is sometimes you can be so selective you're in nothing. Okay. So let's see. Brad, what questions?
Yeah, I think we're caught up here.
Erwin, what is he asking?
Support and resistance levels. I'm not sure what he means by that. You know, the software is always looking at these algorithms and these levels. We do have a couple alerts that specifically focus on crossing above and below support.
Yeah. But all those things, support and resistance levels, are typically things that you only identify in hindsight. You know, so you have to really kind of open your mind to rethinking that almost everything you learned about stocks and investing is kind of wrong. I mean, there's no oversold, no overbought. It's really all relative, and it should be quantitative, not you know, visual. Hugo, yes. Every AI trade has a stop loss. So we have this thing called a, Brad, maybe you can describe it so I'm not coughing.
You bet. So on the window where we have the strategy trades open, that's that bottom left-hand window, with the exception of the bug that's staring us straight in the face with IONS. When a new trade is initiated, it gets populated in that window right there, and there's a field, the second field from the right that says distance to the stop, that lets you know exactly how far away we are from the stop. And that's dependent upon the strategy. So each strategy has its own type of stop. One strategy may be using a smart stop. Another strategy, like bond shorty, is using a 3% stop. Others are using a fixed dollar value. So just depending on the strategy.
And it also, Brad, I mean, when you were saying that, it kind of reminds me of how this is where, again, the beauty of trading this way is that it allows you to be multifaceted at the same time. And this is what technology is good at. It's good at doing a couple of things as if there's more than one of you. And when you watch the AI and you watch it trade and you watch how it's managing the risk as well as initiating, what you realize is you will get better. I mean, that's the best thing that I can say. I mean, I'm spotting things now when I'm looking at this stuff, and again, I'm getting better and better at seeing why it's doing what it's doing. And again, especially when you add the volatility stops and the profit targets, I think it's really evolving to the next level. So I'm pretty excited about what tomorrow could bring. Okay, so Scott, we're going to bring you in. I just want to tell everybody we have the Trade of the Week webinar today as well. I believe at 4:30 Pacific time. Scott, is that right?
Yeah, 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 on the East Coast.
Okay. So Brad, real quick, I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to show you guys a couple of things that are kind of like the treats. Remember I said I can lead you to water, can't make you drink. So I'm going to show you some of the stuff that is really kind of piquing the AI's interests. So we create these custom lists that are kind of interwoven with what the AI is going to be trading. So we have a couple of them, and here are some of the names. So Holly's New Loves, Holly's Must-Watch List. So again, a lot of it has to do with how they are sorted. So I can kind of show you what this will look like. So take a look. A lot of times what we're trying to do is kind of catch this really big inflection point. So you should be able to see a lot of that same kind of action. Here it is again. And if this, the last thing you do is just write some of these symbols down, because guys, this is where you find alpha. I mean, I always like to bring it back into so you can kind of see what we're doing. You come in, you take a look at this, you right click, create an alert, and you just say, I won't miss. So something else that's really awesome about these alerts that we're doing is that everyone will be able to share them. So like all the ones that I'm doing right now, like when I go in and I look at a stock like this CERC, and again, I shrink it up, you know, kind of, oops. I guess it's a new issue. Well, again, I can come right here, create whatever alert I need, never miss it. When I do this, I can then share it with you. So whoever is a TradeIdeas AI client can access other people's shared alerts. So it's a huge opportunity. Let's see here. Let's look at some of the other ones. Again, today was a pretty big day. So let's see. Look at this kind of move. I like to see this kind of stuff into the close. I mean, there's some really interesting things happening. And this is where you really need to be looking at these trend changes. That's why we focus on the kind of like on the trend change, and lubricant is one of the names of our windows, where we're trying to really hone in on that inflection point where the volume comes in and you get this kind of behavior. Very interesting stock right here. Let's look at this one. Okay, this, and Barry, who's our lead moderator in the room, Barry, this is a perfect example of how right here, one of the things that we showcase to our clients is when a stock gaps down and has this void, in other words, it went from here to here, and all of a sudden tries to come up, break out of there, didn't do it, comes back, and then it's coming doing it again. If it really trades above here with some volume, you could see a really big move. So IMPR is something that all of you need to be watching, okay? And it's definitely setting itself up. Let's take a look at VSAR. You know, this is kind of another example of that. You see, like, here's that resistance, and boom, it just pushed through it. This is also one that's, again, that's why it's on Holly's New Loves. Holly likes her stuff. So a big one that a lot of us in the trading room discussed today is CMRX. So this one got obliterated, but just a couple of things real quick. Steve Cohen's in it, and there's a possibility, you know, you'll one day wake up and this thing's got back up to 20. That's how this works. It's never pleasant, and again, it can fall back down. It was one of our trade of the weeks, but it's really starting to show some signs right now. So keep an eye on that. Hey Brad, will you tell everyone how they can access the new love window and all of that? Just so everyone knows, if you're a subscriber to TradeIdeas, all the windows that we show you are available, and we give them to you. We share all of our information, so just ask us. But
yeah, do this. Send us an email. Send it to info, I-N-F-O, at trade-ideas, trade-ideas.com, and we'll go ahead and shoot a cloud link over to you. But what we do need to do, the reason why I'm asking you to send us an email is because we need to add a custom filter into your account that's, I believe it's taking a look at float and some derivative of that we'll add, and then you'll be able to have the same info that Dan's showing you here.
So let me talk a little bit about, again, one of the things that we help people understand is supply and demand. So float is the size of how many shares are out there that are being traded. So when you have a large percentage of the float that's being traded, what's happening is basically the stock's turning over. So here's, you have this OPTT, Ocean Power. I mean, this is the kind of thing that we say, look, impossible to say, excuse me, impossible to say exactly what's happening, but you need to be watching it because this is where alpha comes from. Okay. So let's see. Let's look at the small. LEI was another one. I mean, this one was, we were all over this, and it could be setting up again. This is the kind of move you want to see where if the market catches a bid, I mean, you can see this trying right back. It had it in it. So that's what we're trying to focus on right now. The things that are really been beaten up, kind of like, again, if you look at Twitter, you know, same thing. Although it's just one candle, you really want to see that kind of a turnaround. I tried to do it here and failed, 2 more days, but if it can hold, I mean, you've got a big spring, and the volume has never been bigger. So these are the things, again, it looks like the market really might have caught some bid. And if it does, you want to be getting ready to position yourself and obviously watch the AI and watch the surrounding windows. The last one that I really liked, let's see, was the hidden gems. We got ABAX kind of coming around. IMPR, I think we just talked about that. And TB, same thing. Here you're seeing a stock that's really trying to build a base and really moving out. So these are the names that we'd like for you to keep an eye on. This is what our software is suggesting where the odds are, but of course there's no substitute for owning the AI itself. So Scott, I think we're done as far as I can tell. Why don't I'm hitting you back the reins?
Sure. Put it on slide number 8. And while you do that, I want to direct everyone's attention to your handout panel. On your GoToWebinar interface, it'll let you download a PDF with the same information. So something we'd like to do to thank everyone for joining us is to offer you a way to save. So if you're not currently a subscriber or you already have a subscription and want to pick up the AI, this code will help you do that and save quite a bundle. The code is HOLLY20, and that's HOLLY all in caps. Do that on checkout, and it'll take half off your first month. So you can get the first month for $49 instead of $99. It recurs at $99. Take 20% off your first year, so $710 for the first year, recurs at $888. Or take 30% off the lifetime odds maker, and that lets you get the odds maker for just $770, and that's lifetime. So use the code before they expire at the end of business on Friday. But the next slide, and it's also in your PDF, is the really exciting portion, and we're only going to be offering this until we take Holly out of beta and put her into production. So this is our AI combo saver, or it's the AI combo. For $12.88, you get both a full year of TradeIdeas and the lifetime odds maker AI. So it saves you $700 instantly. All you need to do is go to the URL bit.ly/AI Holly, and that's all uppercase. It is case sensitive. Again, it's bit.ly/AI Holly, and that takes you to a page where you can click through and get both the full year, your first year, and the lifetime odds maker AI license. In other words, access to Holly for just $12.88. It's normally over $1,900. And then if you have any questions about this at all, just email us, info@trade-ideas.com. You can follow Dan at TradeIdeas1 or follow TradeIdeas at TradeIdeas. Those are Twitter. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/TradeIdeasPro. And then follow us on Facebook so that you get some things that we only post there. Any questions, again, email info@, or you can email Dan directly, Dan@. Give us a call during normal operating hours on the West Coast, and we can help you out that way as well. Again, that link, the bit.ly link, the bit.ly/AI Holly, and that's case sensitive, is the best way to get that package. And that saves you a bundle. And again, that includes the full hour of power of training. So as soon as you sign up for the training. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. This is the best way for you guys to, this is our way of saying give the AI for free. And again, you're not going to find anything that comes close to giving you the kind of advantage that we're doing. And watch for us on Shark Tank. I think we're going to make it in 2016.
Yeah, keep an eye out in your email for a link to the replay of this video and reiteration of these codes and the link. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Brad.